Well, hey everyone out there, thanks for choosing our short explanation of the game Ticket to Ride London. It's Chris here from JMNC Games, and today we are taking a look at a miniature version of the Ticket to Ride series. And instead of taking trains this time, we're taking buses all over the town of London. This game is for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, and the average game time is only about 10 to 15 minutes. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment to like and subscribe to our channel. We greatly do appreciate that, and it sure does help us grow. Plus, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at JMNC Games. Now let's dive in and take a look at what's inside the box. There's the board, 4 point tracker tokens, 17 buses, 1 set for each player, the colored transportation cards, and the destination tickets. To set up, place the board in the center of the playing area. Each player should collect their color buses and scoring marker. Place their scoring marker on the start on the outside edge of the board. Take the ticket cards and shuffle them. Deal 2 of them to each player. Players can look at these 2 cards. They must decide if they wish to keep one or both of these tickets. The ticket, if completed in the game, will score this many victory points. But be careful. If you take a ticket and are unable to complete it by the end of the game, it will be minus that many victory points. If a player decides that they do not wish to keep one of their tickets, they return it face down to the bottom of the ticket pile. The rest of the tickets are kept by the board for all players to be able to reach. Next, shuffle the colored cards. There are several kinds. The bus cards are wild cards and can be treated as any color. Once shuffled, deal 2 cards to each player. Players can look at these cards, but not reveal them to the other players. Next, take the top 5 cards and place them face up next to the board with the remaining cards face down like this. If during the game 3 buses ever appear in the face-up cards, take all 5 cards, remove them to the discard pile, and replace them with 5 new cards from the deck. Now we're ready to play. Choose a player to go first, and play will go clockwise around the board. On a player's turn, you have 3 options. Draw a card, claim a route, or draw new tickets. We'll go over each of these options in more detail. When drawing a card, players can either choose to select one of the 5 face-up cards or draw from the face-down cards. If they select one of the face-up cards, it is immediately replaced by the next card from the deck. Players are allowed to take 2 cards if they draw. The only exception to this is with the wild cards. If a wild card is face-up and a player selects that card, that is the only card that they may take. Replace the card, and that is the end of their turn. If a player draws a wild card from the face-down cards, they may select another card. However, if there was a wild card face-up, they would not be allowed to take that card. If a player selects any other card, either from the draw pile or the face-up cards, they cannot select a wild card from the face-up cards. Once the player has their 2 cards, that ends their turn and the next player starts. The next option is claiming routes. As you look across the map, you can see there are many routes running from station to station. There are 3 factors to the route. How long is it? What color is it? And is it a double route or not? First, the length. The number of spaces indicates how many buses are needed for that route. If you do not have enough buses in your inventory, you are not able to claim this route. Next is the color of the route. Let's take a look at this route here. It's pink and it's 3 buses long. This means you need to have 3 pink cards or a combination of pink and wild cards in your hand in order to claim the route. So if on my turn I wish to claim this route, I must turn in the appropriate cards to the discard pile. Once done, I then place my buses along the route. If the route is gray, this means that any color can be turned in for that route. But the cards need to be the same color or a combination of same color with the wild cards. Once a route is claimed, no other players can also claim the same route. With the exception of these lines, which have multiple lines. If a player claims one of these routes, another player can claim that route later if they have the right cards. The same player cannot claim both of the routes. When a player claims a route, they score points. After finishing placing their buses, they note the amount of buses on that line and check the reference for scoring on the board. Move their scoring token the appropriate amount of points along the score tracker. The final option of a player's turn is to take more tickets. If a player wishes to try and complete more tickets, on their turn they can take 2 tickets from the ticket pile. They can choose to keep both of the cards if they wish, but they must keep at least one. The cards they wish to keep go with the rest of their tickets, and the tickets they do not want are returned to the bottom of the ticket pile. And this is the basics of the game. Players continue taking turns, choosing one of their 3 options for their turn until one player has 2 buses or less in their inventory. When this happens, it triggers the end of the game. Each player, including the player who triggered the end of the game, will take one more turn. Then it's time for the scoring. Players now reveal and show the tickets that they were able to complete, moving the scoring tracker the number of points listed on the completed card. If a player has not been able to complete a ticket, they should move their tracker down that number of points on the ticket. Next, the players should see if they were able to complete any districts. Districts are indicated by these numbers at each of the stations. If a player is able to connect all of the stations within that particular number, that means they have completed the district and would score the amount of points indicated on the board. So for example, if I connected all of the stations in Zone 3, I would collect 3 points at the end of the game. Keep in mind a few things when it comes to districts. There may be more than one way to complete the task, and therefore it might be possible that more than one player is able to complete the same district. Of course, the player with the highest score at the end is the winner of the game. And so that is Ticket to Ride London. Thanks for joining us today. We sure hope you enjoyed our presentation on Ticket to Ride London. And if you got any questions on the game, please drop them down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to answer those as quickly as I can. And while you're there, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We certainly do appreciate that. It sure does help us grow. And again, please find us on other social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. Well, now we know what's inside, so let's play.